Yes, welcome everyone to this Zoom live now. I am very happy to have Miriam both here and Lena Hierzi, who are winners of several international hackathons. And we will speak tonight about how to win hackathons. And I think they are the perfect people to talk about that because they travel a lot for basically in-person physical hackathons. They have been to some of the probably biggest hackathons there are, and they can share their experience with going to these hackathons, how the dynamic is, how to build a team, a successful team, and basically the secrets of how to win a hackathon. So I would suggest we start with a little introduction. Maybe I start because I am speaking, and I will tell you also why we're doing this session. My name is Maria Eneva Olms, and I'm the founder and CEO of Ecolens and also of techFiesta. And Ecolens is an educational organization. We provide education for people who want to work in the blockchain space. And we are launching our own online hackathon platform in July, which is called techFiesta. And we would like to start a series of events that educate people how to be successful during hackathons. What are hackathons? How to go to really good hackathons, how to build a team, and basically how to win a hackathon in the end. So that's the idea of this series of events that we're kicking off now with this first event. And if you want to know more about techFiesta, I will drop the link here and you can register as a participant. We're kicking off our first hackathon on the 20th of July, where you can also show your skills and maybe even implement all the tips and tricks that you will learn tonight. So this is about me, and I will now leave the word to Miriam, please, to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your hackathon experience so far.
Yes, thanks, Maria, for having me. I'm not participating in any hackathon this year, unfortunately, but last year was my heavy hackathon year, and I met Lena at several hackathons, which is a big pleasure for me to be with her here because she was one of my mentors at the hackathons and one of the kind of role models that motivated me to participate in hackathons further, even if I'm not a developer. I have no coding skills, but I am quite tech savvy, and this is no reason to not participate in a hackathon, by the way. I am based in Frankfurt in Germany. I have a business background, so not developer, as I said, but I worked also in policy advisory. I worked in traditional finance with regard to innovation and tech, so also finance and blockchain. Then I worked for policy advisory on blockchain for financial inclusion in developing countries or in partner countries of the German government. And then I worked on a few own projects through the hackathons. And then afterwards also started at Zenkin. Zenkin is the current project and company I work for, which is a carbon credits marketplace on chain. So I'm currently in the regulated finance space with blockchain technology. And I participated in 4 hackathons last year. The first was in Miami, then in Paris, Berlin, and the last one was online. So I think this also could be interesting to talk about the difference between like in real life hackathons and online hackathons, because they're kind of completely different. But my most successful hackathon was the online hackathon, which is not my kind of success, but our team's success. That's always something to keep in mind. We are no one-man shows, never at hackathons. So shortly to me.
Thanks so much, Miriam, for this introduction. Now, Lena, you're like a guru in hackathons. You have participated in many, and I know that you're mentoring also a lot of women because you're part of her DAO. So you're also mentoring a lot of women how to be successful in hackathons, how to also develop their developer skills. So please tell us about yourself and your hackathon background.
Yeah, okay, sure. Thank you for this beautiful and charming introduction. And really happy to be here today. I love Ecolands. I love your program. So always honored to be invited as a speaker.
Thank you.
So I work currently as developer advocate for Toucan, which is an infrastructure provider for carbon marketplaces on chain. And really funny, like Miriam's company uses our tools. So we are both in the refi and the regenerative finance space. And yeah, so I'm also with HerDAO as a core team member, and since like over a year, like HerDAO, just for everybody who has not heard of it yet, it's a female non-binary focused developers and builders DAO, and we launched last year in February, which was also my beginning. Like I did a hackathon before, but it was Web 2, and that was my first Web 3 hackathon. East Denver is one of the biggest ones, and together with Yip, I won. We made like 15th place on like out of 200 teams or something, and there's like a lot of OGs go there, and it was like a huge surprise, and we presented on stage in front of everyone, and that was like my first big win. And I will go more into detail what I learned out of that, but just like after that, I traveled with HerDAO because we provide scholarships for women and non-binary people to attend hackathons and conferences. So I was in charge of taking care and mentoring the scholars. So I was helping them build teams. I was helping them like create successful hackathon projects, and I was also always part of a team to like guide people who are very new through the process. I won also other hackathons, like several prizes. I attended a few East Global hackathons. East Global but we will get back to that later probably when we talk about which hackathons to attend. And yeah, I feel like I attend like 8 hackathons or something or more. And built a lot of projects and learned a lot, could mentor a lot of people, and yeah, that's what inspires me, or like what I think is beautiful, because people like this year I attended East Lisbon, and I had 3 women coming up to me who are hackers or who were working for companies at East Global, at East Lisbon. And they told me that the experience with us together, like with HerDAO or with other projects like ours, really pushed them into a space, made them confident that they can contribute, and brought them, yeah, like to a successful career. So that was really, really beautiful. So far, but we will get into more details, I guess.
Thank you so much, Lena, for sharing this. Yeah, so the first question for me would be to both of you, of course. How do you pick the right hackathon for your background and skills?
Okay. I think there is like Web3 hackathons are normally pretty open. Of course, there's like refi hackathons, there's blockchain specific hackathons, but in general, it's more about the tech you use, like the tech you're comfortable with or you want to explore. I guess that's maybe more the question, depending on where you're coming from. And then you go and you just build something, because most of the time it's like maybe it has to do something with finance, or it has to do something with NFTs or with common goods, right? So there's like some topics, but very general. So like if you have a great idea, you just like look for the hackathons, go through the tracks, see if it fits to what you want to build. If you want to build a game, of course, there's gaming focused hackathons. If you want to build something like the project Miriam and me work in, it's good to look for refi, like regenerative finance hackathons, or also bigger blockchains or companies like Cello who are refi focused and who are also building the refi focused ecosystem, to attend their hackathons, and because then it's already focused in that direction. And there was like, I once spoke at a DAO hackathon, right? So, and then you really focus on developing frameworks for decentralized autonomous organizations, and like go really into depth of what kind of legal issues come with like creating a DAO in Portugal, for example. So in the end, a hackathon, just like to give a definition, it's something where people from different backgrounds come together to like take the time and be very productive in a very short amount of time. If that is like an in real life hackathon that goes for 24 or 48 hours, or a remote hackathon that goes for 2 weeks or a month, it's like to be creative. And hacking in the case does not mean that you're going to hack into a system. Hacking means, we say that like to develop, as a developer, if I'm like kind of like just want to create a prototype, I don't check that, like I don't create the most beautiful code, right? I kind of like put it all together, and that's what is called hacking, right? That's like no code that I would bring to my boss and be like, hey, that's great code. Like everything is like a mess and hard coded. So a hackathon is, in my opinion, or I think in general, just an opportunity to learn, to explore, to be creative, to like test things out, and just like also to gain confidence in your skills, because in the end, we all bring valuable skills to the table, and you will realize in a hackathon how they are needed, how you are needed. Even if, as Miriam said, you don't have a tech background, if you have other skills of like in health or in social, as a social worker, you know your products best, you know what's missing, you can have a great idea for a product and help other people build this. So to answer your question, finding the right hackathon really depends. If you have an idea, then look for the fitting topic of a hackathon. If you just want to explore, just go to the next hackathon that you can find that happens close to you and in the near future. And if you don't have an idea, there's always people looking for developers, for designers, for anything. Like I also sometimes, as a developer, I look for somebody who is really great in product management and project management. So yeah, that would be my final answer to that question.
Thank you, Lena. And I think it's a great answer, because you're basically saying that in order to win a hackathon, you don't necessarily only need developers. You need all kinds of like profiles. We can speak about this later. But for example, Miriam, in your case, I know you are not a developer, right? So you bring other skills to the table. So again, the question to you, how would you as a non-dev look for the right hackathon for your profile? And what would a non-dev bring to the table? Like what other skills are important in a hackathon team?
Absolutely. To the first question, I mean, Lena already said a lot of things. The thing is always, what is your motivation for going to a hackathon? Some hackers I met are just there for fun. They love to experiment. They don't even want to hand something in. So they look for like, how is the event organization? What people are there? What speakers are there? What workshops are there? Do they have like cool agenda points, like, I don't know, massage therapists, which is not unusual for hackathons, and gimmicks to make every hacker feel most comfortable at the hackathon. This could be something to look in. There are several overviews of hackathons out there, lists where you can go through and research. I would look into whether, with regard to the fun factor, what is interesting for you, which is like something that is it's cool as they described it. Then, as Lena already said, if you have a topic you want to dig deeper into, not on the tech level, but more on the application or use case level, look for that. For example, East Berlin, where I was, they just focused on society topics about how can we work again, develop solutions for counter surveillance, and really like deep political society stuff. If you want to engage in that, look for those hackathons. Refi, different ones, DeFi, different ones sometimes, Metaverse, and so on. So there you can look for that, which you can research quite well, which you also have to research with regard to the prizes and bounties and the sponsors. So if you want to get a feeling on what this hackathon is really about, look through the prizes and sponsor list and the bounty lists. Not just for the requirements, whether you can like already plan what you want to build, but also with regard to what is the focus, where the prizes are located, on which topics, and are they more on the, for example, the tracks that focus on use cases, or more on tracks that focus on infrastructure and tech. For example, there are some hackathons that focus on really build something for impact. That has to include a working code in the end, but the focus is not on having a super sophisticated tech solution in the end, including like 5 different requirements from the tech sponsor. It's about the idea and the whole package, because they focus more on the tracks and on the topics. The prices are, for example, then higher on those tracks than on the prices on bounties from the sponsors, from the tech solutions. So you can research that quite good beforehand most of the time. Also with regard to who are the participants, normally you have a Discord or any other tool where you can see who's participating. And when you log in, you can see, is it super techy, and are they talking deep tech stuff, and I'm a newbie in this space, and even non-dev. Do I feel comfortable? Yes or no? I mean, you pay a lot of money most of the time if you have no scholarship to travel to a hackathon sometimes. So it's a good decision to make. Also with regard to, do you want to travel somewhere or not? There are differences we can talk about later on online and offline, but this should also be something you can include if you don't want to travel, and if you don't have time, for example, because you have work to do. You can do online hackathons besides working. Like a month, or my online hackathon was 3 months. So it was really long. They split the hackathon into 2 phases. You can also, which I did, because of my first hackathon, I just went to a hackathon and I didn't really do any research beforehand, because I got asked whether I want to participate in a hackathon with a scholarship. It wasn't, unfortunately, her DAO. I don't know why, but it was Women Build Web 3 DAO. But that's where I met all the other, especially female hackers, and Lena with her DAO. And you can also research for who is providing scholarships to participate in hackathons, which can be like the #1 decision making point you will have, because it's otherwise, so I wouldn't have had like flight to Miami just for a hackathon if I hadn't had the chance to get the scholarship for it. Also, sometimes it's better for newbies to decide to go to a hackathon or not if you know that, for example, DAOs like her DAO or other building DAOs are there mentoring and helping you, because that is a better entry for someone who has not participated yet into a hackathon, because you get support there, and it's a sign that is very welcoming and entry, like newbie friendly. And what I also have as a decision point for me is the diversity focus, because I don't want to be in a room with hackers, like 99% of just male hackers. It's just that I don't feel that I belong there. So I look for whether the organizers have some kind of, do some kind of effort in trying to build diverse gender and cultural participants, or whether they just like don't have any interest in creating diversity in the participants, which you can also see with regard to the bounties often, the prizes sometimes, because what I experience is that many more diverse teams are focusing on impact projects. So if there's a huge track and prize on those projects, it's sometimes also a sign for having a more diverse participant group than if it's just tech-focused sponsors and prizes. I think that were just a few of the things I would take into consideration when I would like consciously choose a hackathon. But as Lena said, if you have the chance, just go for it. Don't think about it.
Yeah, and Miriam, you mentioned you have been to digital hackathons, you have been to physical hackathons. Let's talk a little bit about that and what are the differences. And especially, you know, at techFiesta, what we're launching is a digital hackathon platform. So our idea is to connect people from emerging countries and also people from all over the world to work together and to be able to participate in hackathons without the need to travel. And I think that's a great way to still have this hackathon experience without having to travel, you know, without having to incur this cost of traveling and all the, you know, organization that you have to do around, going to a hackathon. And at the same time, connect protocols that are in developed countries, let's say, or in countries very far away from the hackers. So that was the motivation for us to create a digital hackathon platform. But from your experience, please tell us, what are the differences, and also how is the experience different, and do you have to focus on other things to win a digital hackathon than to win a physical hackathon?
So I think the online hackathon I participated in was really special. So because they ask you to work on research on the problem and the idea just for 1.5 months, and then you had to hand in your pitch and pitch your problem, and then you were allowed to step into the next stage of the hackathon, which was then a short list of participating teams that were allowed to proceed with hacking and building. So I think normally you just have the second part, and then the selection will be from everyone who hands it in. But they wanted to focus on, it was just an impact hackathon, Web3-athon was the online hackathon connected to the consensus. And it was, as I said, just focusing on impact streams. So they really wanted to make sure that you have plenty of time to research into the problem and not start building with any technology just because you want to get the bounties and the prizes. So because your strategy could also be bounty hunter. And I think if you're going for online hackathons, it is the best strategy for bounty hunters. If you want to go to hackathons, not for learning and so on, but for the bounties and prizes, I think online hackathons could be the right thing for you, because there are some hackathon platforms where we can just log into several hackathons and build your projects there and just like cash in your prizes and bounties. By the way, normally the difference, what I experience between prizes and bounties is that prizes are on tracks and on goals that the hackathons want the hackers to achieve with their solutions. For example, something for impact, something in the DeFi space, and so on. And then there are the bounties, which are normally from the tech solutions, for example, Coinbase wallet, or I don't know what, Skynet, or any other tech you would use and implement in your solution, which is kind of for sure a marketing instrument that they want you to use their products for sure. But then for sure, there are also the biggest sponsors, which are the ecosystems and blockchains like Celo and so on. So in general, you have the options. The in-real hackathon is, I think, a different challenge than the online hackathon, because you have to work for 2 days, normally non-stop without sleeping. You have to be super efficient. You have to set up your team before or at the hackathon. You have to build everything in a super short time, but you have the super nice experience at the venue, the spirits, everyone is working together. It's like I've never worked so intensely and super efficiently like at a hackathon. Some people come just for this spirit and mindset of working to hackathons. While you would say at an online hackathon, you're more flexible, you have inclusivity, you have more diverse teams because more participants are then able to participate into hackathons. For our online hackathon, we had one in our team from Dubai, from India, from Israel, from Andorra, from Paris, and from Germany. So it was like super diverse and mixed, not at least more diverse than normally in real hackathons. But the challenge here is to stay focused and motivated, because everyone has their normal life going on besides. And that was what was really frustrating for me. And no one was to blame, because everyone has their life and their struggles. But that is super influencing your project, because no one has a blocked slot for working on the project. It's always something they do besides, more or less focused on their normal life. That could be quite a challenge, even if you have more time than a weekend or so. I would prefer not the online hackathons, but the in real life hackathons, because in terms of coordination, collaboration, focus, commitment, online hackathons are, for a team participation, a big challenge. If you're a single hacker, a bounty hunter, and there are lots of them, probably online hackathons are the best thing for you, because the only one who is responsible for the result is you. But yeah, that's roughly what I would say. And they are completely different. I would try both.
Perfect. Thanks, Miriam, for sharing your experience. Lena, can you tell us about your experience? Have you been at a digital hackathon? What would you say is the difference?
So, yeah, no, I'm happy to explain. Like, I think the main difference between online and remote is already, as Miriam said, it's a different kind of organization, right? At an in real life hackathon, you can force people to focus for 24 hours. Maybe they go sleep and you're going to be pissed that they dared to think about sleeping during 24 hours or 48 hours. But I think it's easier to coordinate, see where somebody is stuck, because you can just get them, even if they don't want to talk to you or like something, it's way easier. Also, I think it's better for making great connections. Like if you want to attend a hackathon to find a job or to start your project, you want to go to an in real life. Like if you have a great idea that you want to build into a startup, go to an in real life hackathon, probably go to one with a reputation. These hackathons, like normally investors go to the list of the winners and will reach out to you, so you already have a head start to getting funding, or like interesting, like getting just talks with investors. I think that's one of the biggest pros I can think of. And I have friends who got jobs by being like there, being great in presenting, being great in connecting with the team. So that is definitely, like, if you want to like do networking, emerge in the ecosystem, it's more helpful. But it's also possible in a remote hackathon. So I was judging the Cello Hackathon, built with Cello Hackathon. It's like a series of different hackathons. It's running right now for like 4 months. Every month there's a different challenge. And I was judging, and I mean, in the end, you can see in many online hackathons that the quality of, you would think, because they have a month and not 2 days, you would think they are able to build more, and some teams are, if they would put in the time. But in the end, as Miriam said, not everybody has as much time, and if you don't allocate it, you probably have the same quality of product in a month of remote hackathon as in 2 days of hacking in real life. But really important for remote hackathons is just organization. We're right now building out a system where we, with our DAO, bring in hackers that want to get first experiences with hackathons, or might already have experience and just want to like learn new tech, learn more skills, have great teams, network inside of the teams. And we see it's really important to set up weekly calls, to make everybody have to attend these, to like be really clear in like the beginning, to define roles very clearly. So later, like, you don't lose people, because the less people are motivated, the less they understand what they have to do, the more you will lose them. They will have other priorities. So very important is, I think, for a remote hacker team, you need like a leading person who has a great idea and who motivates people, who figures out if they have a mistake, an error, like if they get stuck. Like for me, in an in real life hackathon, one of my most important roles is to figure out if somebody got stuck and if they need help and get them this help. Doing that remotely is even harder because especially if people get stuck, they don't reach out, they retreat, right? Because you need the success. So you always have to kind of like have these stand-ups as if you have in tech companies where you update each other constantly, where people can overtake your tasks. Communication is key, organization, having a Notion database with all progress, always committing every day that you work on something when you finish, so people can see what you did and can continue working on it. I think that's very important to have like really good rules set up in the beginning. And I mean, set the rules up, people will probably follow half of them, but that is already like better than if you don't have them. So that would be my advice. I think especially if you don't have time to travel or the money to travel, it's really great to like meet people, to already get a reputation, to build out your portfolio. So get started with online hackathons, and at one point try to attend an in real life hackathon, or even organize one yourself. That's like always an option, especially if you have experience with participating in remote ones and people trust you and you build out like your reputation. But yeah, that is my input on this question.
Thanks,
Maybe I
Lena.
can quickly add that I think it's more challenging to find a team online than offline, because what I experienced was I was registered for another online hackathon, which I failed completely to find a team where I can work on a project together. And the online hackathon I participated in was with the team I had already worked on a project in an in real life hackathon before. So maybe you can also go to an in real life hackathon first, get your team, get the people you can work with quite well, get to know each other, build like bond kind of as a team, and then you can go for any online hackathon together. Because I think really sometimes, especially just being on a hackathon, like no one helps you find a team. You will text several groups and people on Discord or on any hackathon server, just asking, what do you want to build? And I have the following ideas. Do you want to work on them? And that can be quite frustrating. For the one hackathon I quit, it took me weeks, and then I said, okay, no, I'm just not.
No. Yeah, I want to add that I think it is, as Miriam says, harder to find a team, but to find a team, you have to reach out. And as soon as you know somebody is looking, you have to catch them. You also have to do that in real life hackathon. Never wait too long to build your team. Just do it and people can leave and join. And always post updates if you need someone, blah, blah. Yeah, I think that is what I wanted to say. HerDAO is currently we're building out like a small project where women and non-binary people can join, and we build out like, we choose a certain remote hackathons, and then we help you organize yourself into groups. We will guide you, we will mentor you, we will kind of run these weekly sessions, just so like not somebody has to take all of this organizational work. We will provide you with a template, a Notion for your hackathon team, and help you find the right team for your ideas and for what you want to learn. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. You can find me under Gigahertz. Wait, I will add it to my name in all, like on Twitter and Telegram. So if you have any questions, I'm going to send it in the message.
Yeah, Lena, I think that would be also very interesting for techFiesta, because what we're doing when we launch our basically first version of techFiesta is that we're starting with the hackathons, but like building a team, and we emphasized here, like both of you, Miriam and you, emphasized how important it is to find the team. So either come with the team or quickly try to find your team and the right people. This is like, it will like make you or break you, right? Your team. So it's very important to have support there, to have the right guidance and mentorship. So yeah, that would be very interesting also for us to explore working with her DAO on this offering that you have. But yeah, we can speak about it another time. So basically, one of the most important things that we defined here in this panel session is the team, right? This is one of the most important success factors, how to, like, what your team is, and how your communication with your team is, and how you're building something together. What would you say is another important factor in order to win a hackathon? Like, from your experience, what was the what were the most important things that brought you success? Yeah, we can go with Lena again, and then Miriam. Yeah.
So it's two things. First of all, like, have a clear message, have a good idea. Like, it has to be an idea that can be scalable. It should not be something somebody built 3 times. Like, have a great idea. Don't be too creative. Like, don't go crazy about, like, I don't know. But anyways, I also got ideas where I was not convinced by them, right? As I said, I was mentoring people, I had teams. Just talk to everybody you can who has knowledge in Web3 about your idea. And the more you talk about it, the more it shapes what it could be. Like, people will give you feedback if that makes sense or not. So, like, instead of going to the judges and be like, hey, this is my idea, there's a lot of people out there that will answer your question if that makes sense as an idea, or if you need to update something or go in a different direction or have a great message, but like need to get like new ideas around it. So in my opinion, just to get back, stick with the team, stick with an idea and make it work. Like, it normally works out really well if you focus on getting your tasks done. And these tasks include, first, having a team that works well together. You can have also conflicts still, that happens. But in my opinion, 2 things here is, first one is have somebody who is organized, have somebody who has an overview. Like, as we said, we need non-technical people, especially if it's new people. If it's like experienced hackers, they can organize themselves underneath without having to put in too much work. If you have new people, you need somebody who is very organized, who pushes people, who can inspire people, who will help them through the whole process. So having a great product manager who's aware of, like, who's doing what, how long are they already in that, do they need help? Actively ask them if they need help, actively ask them where they are stuck. And then also the next thing is you have to have a great presentation. And that's also the task of the product manager. If I get a project, like I told you I was judging this remote hackathon, like if I get a project where I feel like the project description is like created with ChatGPT, or like not even for that hackathon, but for another one because they didn't even exchange the names of the blockchain or something, then I'm like, honey, put some effort into this. Like, it's we are sponsoring, like we there's like so much you can get out of this hackathon, and it's not just about submitting a project for something. I'm in general not against, just like, because we're talking here all about like how to win a hackathon. I just want to like emphasize, of course, you can win money at a hackathon, but this money, like, if it's not going to like immediate directly that project, I would always advise you to like input it into like your future education or other projects that you can build with that. it's but yeah, I'm getting away from what I wanted to say. Basically, having a great presentation, introducing your idea is very important. Otherwise, you can have the best tech build. If it doesn't show what you're going for, then nobody will understand what you wanted to build, and you're not going to like make anyone understand. So you're not going to win a hackathon. So and it takes time. You cannot finish a presentation in 1 hour. You cannot take the video you have to hand in 1 hour. You cannot put the whole like README file in 1 hour. Like take 5 hours. Like put an effort into like explaining what tech you use, why you're building this, what problem you're solving, what were like difficulties you run into, and where you want to go with this. Like, what are future plans of going forward with this project? Because in the end, also the sponsors and everybody wants to know you're invested in this project. You want to keep building in this project. Like, that is like a huge factor of winning something, is that they know like you're invested in that idea. It's not just an idea to win a hackathon. Like Miriam and me, we tell you like how to win a hackathon, but because it's about like learning, it's about building, it's not about the money. Like and I think that's very important. And I think you also notice as a judge, if somebody comes and just wants to like get this like 2K bounty, or somebody comes and honestly is interested in learning your tech. And then last thing, it's now way more than 2 things. Give them feedback. Companies appreciate feedback. They sometimes put their tech out there to get your feedback on if you ran into any bugs, into any errors in the documentation where you got stuck. And giving them this feedback makes them see that you're interested in the project, and you're interested in the product. So that is one of the main things. If you participate in a remote hackathon, and here comes it, it's not hard to be engaged with that hackathon on Twitter and on Discord. Attend the office hours, comment on like join the Twitter space, ask questions. This will make the people involved in the hackathon see you and say like, that person was there, they showed up, they were engaged. Like, you like, why participate in a hackathon? Like, why spend all of this time doing something for like, if you don't get anything out of that, right? Do it also for yourself, that you always learn something. I think that is in my opinion very, very important about hackathons. Yeah, Miriam, I'm sorry now.
I think you touched a few areas where I could add a bit on what you already said, which is like the process, the team, and the role of non-techs especially. And with regard to best practices, I would say in general preparation. You can go to a hackathon and just learn. That's also fine. But for your first hackathon, the best way to go. But if you're prepared, you're more likely to be successful. You can, that's sometimes my experience most of the time more done by the non-techs. Go through the prices and the criteria, make an overview beforehand. Think about the different requirements for different prices, what has to be implemented to be kind of be considered from the judge side with regard to different bounties and prices, which tracks are there. Do you have already ideas? Just if you want to be successful and really want to implement something, just don't go with one idea, because it could be really hard to find a team in Relive Hackathon there. Be a bit more flexible, go to the hackathon with a best portfolio of a few rough ideas to be shaped with the team together then. I've seen many like individuals going around and having a super clear idea they want to build. They have cool ideas, but you will probably not find all of the resources you will need to build this at the hackathon that will commit on your idea. So be a bit more flexible with regard to that. Research into the bundles and the tech beforehand. Even if you're a developer, some of the tech could be new for me as a non-tech or non-dev. A lot of them have been new for me. I've researched before. So I also looked into which of the technologies seem to be good to be implemented in this idea or solution, and then make a plan to who you want to talk to, not just for being present, but also to learn with regard to the requirements they have that have not been super clear in the 1 or 2 lines they write into the bounty handbook kind of, or prize handbook. So talk to them, go make a plan to go to the workshops that are essential for you, especially, or push your developers to go to the workshops if they haven't really planned to go to them. What would I say? Also, register for the, it's so easy, but register on the hackathon platform beforehand. Do the profile, already put in what you want to have included into your summary of your project. Prepare that well in advance, especially if you're the one who is, for example, the non-tech is responsible for handing in all the results you have to hand in, which are a lot, as Lena said. You can prepare a lot of them beforehand in a rough manner. So like, what do you want to, you don't need to build a pitch deck from scratch at the hackathon. You can go with a dummy and then include what you have worked on with your team together. So this saves you like hours of time you will need at in Relive hackathon if you're a bit prepared beforehand. What would I say as well? Sleep well in advance, definitely, because probably you will not be able to sleep a lot. Yeah, I don't know. Especially some hackathons do have a really specific communication tool set. In Berlin, for example, they use decentralized element-based messenger tech solutions. So no Discord, for example, no Dora hacks, or no of the normal hackathon tools where you would hand it in. So do that, set that up beforehand, make yourself comfortable with that, and hang around in the different groups and talk to the participants and the tech providers, for example, also beforehand. Yes, I think preparation is a really big thing that could be also like one of the success factors, because it saves you times. And with regard to the team, most of my experience is that more the non-tech people are like coordinating all the stuff that I said already. So are organizing that, are having a checklist of what has to be handed in, making sure we have, for all the things you have to include in the description and the pitch deck, have everything together. A slide where you can show the tech stack in a super high level way. A slide where you really focus on describing the problem, really highlight the problem first, not the solution. The focus must be on the problem. Don't go like a bounty hunter, go through the bounties, include all of the requirements the bounty providers are giving, and then have no problem addressing with your solution, with your tech and solution. So that is something like the storyline, a good pitch deck with a good logical argumentation why you build this solution. All of that is super essential, and in the end, the best tech solution will not win if you don't have that, as Lena already said. Also, like trying to coordinate between your team members, because sometimes, for example, we hadn't had a front-end developer at that one hackathon, so we needed to go around and try to find the missing resources. Some people came and just helped us learn quickly Figma, for example, which is not front-end development, but it is helping you to at least have a click dummy that is in many hackathons enough to show what you've built with your backend. So go around, try to source the missing resources at the hackathon or on the online hackathon, something that non-devs also most of the time are doing, while the developers are writing the code, going for the, I don't know, there's so many things that have to be done. We had, for example, with regard to non-tech and tech ratio, often 50-50, because there's so much you have to do at a hackathon to hand in a successful project in the end. And let the developers work on their responsible area, help them coordinate if they want, if they need help, if they need some more information about the requirements, if they need I don't know, a backlog could also be something super helpful, like what is implemented. If the backend is implementing something, but we don't have it in our pitch deck because no one knows that a feature has been implemented, it's not worth it. I mean, no one will see it. You have to pitch it. You have to make it clear and transparent what has been implemented. So you have to have a really good communication coordinator kind of in between everyone. I think those things are it. And with regard to the process, some hackathons have like 2 days in advance of the weekend hackathons, and we have hackathons just for learning. Go there, go 2 days earlier, go for all of the workshops, learn, network. Most of them, the workshop leads are often also the judges because they're already there from the company. Sometimes the workshops are on the weekend where the hackathon is, which is a bit challenging because you need the time normally as well, which you would then be in the workshop. But yes, that is something that would, for example, sometimes be parallel, but also in advance. So I would say, if the first you have the registration, normally you have to register somewhere to a certain point in time until you have to log in. If you haven't logged in until a certain time, you're not one of the live teams on the hackathon platforms. You will sometimes have special like Q&A sessions in between. You will have the opening session, which is also super helpful to get a feeling of the overall vibe and mission of the hackathon, because the intro speech, for example, is always showing what do the organizers want to achieve with a hackathon, which is in the end what will probably be winners for the large prizes and tracks. For example, in Miami, there were a lot of focus on diversity and impact, even though the tracks really weren't specific to that. But everyone understood from the opening ceremony, okay, we need to have at least a bit of impact with our solution. And it is cool if we have a diverse team, because they really worked hard to get a 30%, for example, female participant ratio. So you can get a lot of the opening session as well by attending this session. Then for sure, team building and working, ideating, which has to be moderated, because like sitting together and everyone is like brainstorming, but no one is like having any kind of organization on how we can like coordinate in between those ideas and build them up to a good idea everyone can commit on. And then talk about for sure the tech you want to implement. And then yes, you can start hacking, but at least start at midnight on the day, on Sunday normally, when you have to end it at 9 or 10, with the rough presentation and the results you want to hand in, because otherwise could be really challenging.
Thank you so much, Miriam. It was a lot of information, but really, really great information. Maybe I can add a couple of things. So first, about having a focus, maybe. Like every one of us has a specific interest, has a specific passion. So having this passion and interest can really benefit your projects. So as you said, being a bounty hunter, that's fine. But at the same time, companies notice that, right? But if you're really passionate about something, like in your case, refi, and then you participate in a refi hackathon, and then people see your passion, see your background, see that you actually know yourself around the space, then they will really, give you a better score for that, because you show your competence. And I think this is very important when you're looking for a hackathon or deciding where to participate or what solution to offer, to really include your interest and your background and your knowledge from before, and your passion as well, because people will see that. Like in a normal work life, right? People will see when you do a work that you're passionate about. And the second part on the preparation and really being there for the events organized around the hackathon, what I'm noticing right now, because we are starting organizing our first hackathons with techFiesta, a lot of people that show up don't ask questions or are not really involved. And I think what's really important is, of course, these people could be also people that just want to see, okay, is this something interesting for me? You know, maybe they're not really convinced they want to participate, but at the same time, if you really want to do this hackathon, if you want to participate, you also have to ask questions, be involved, make yourself seen. And again, this is something that you do also in your normal work life, right? So do good and talk about it, and like try to be seen, try to like really showcase your knowledge, your skills, your interest. And this starts with these events, even before you submit any project. Because as you said, then the client will know, okay, so I remember this person asking questions, like being super involved, and now this is their project. Oh, perfect. So maybe you'll get even a better score for, yeah, like being there, putting yourself out there, and really showing interest. We're getting, okay, so Lena is also saying, practice your pitch like 2 hours before. Go at least 4 times through it and pitch to other people. They will pose questions. The judges will probably ask. So then you already have the answers. Yeah, practice, practice, practice. This is super important, part of the whole organization. And as you said, like 50-50 teams, developers and non-devs, is a very good very good setup. And it's also like in a tech company, right? You don't only need developers, you need all the other people for the organization, the project management, the presentation, selling the idea, describing the idea. This is super, super important. So
with regard to the 50-50 ratio, I think it's not ideal, but it is sometimes necessary, depending also on the team set. If you're like a 2 or 3 person or 4 person team, 50-50 could be not enough to have enough resources for the development. At that point in time could be also the perfect match. It depends a bit on what you want to build. I also had the impression sometimes if you have a team of 5 or 6, this is way too much, and you have 2 people or 3 people not working on the product, like the developers. This could be a challenge because you don't sometimes have clear responsibilities on the non-dev side. So it depends. It's not the perfect rule, I would say. I just wanted to add with regard to the question of the investment. You have in my experience, you have a different funding and like financing your project funnel within blockchain and Web3. I would suggest starting to go to hackathons, not just for networking, but you will gather like batches of how good your problem and your solution is through the prizes and your bounties you win. And with that, you can apply for boot camps, you can apply for accelerator programs, like for example, the Sado camp, and you can apply for grants. And normally you can like collect a few grants with a good idea and finance your first like development of a good project. And then you can go your pre-seed, and then you can go for the first funding round. So I think that is a bit different with regard to other tech spaces. So really have the possibility to get, I mean, I don't know how the vibes are currently in the space, but last year you were like it was quite sure that you will get a few grants if you want to continue with your project that has already won a few hackathon prizes. Because last year, people are going around VCs, but also companies that want to invest in further tech at the hackathon or on the online hackathon and asking you, what are you building before you're handed in already? And they want to network with you because they're interested in your solution even before you hand it in. And after the hackathon, people are writing you from VCs directly. So there's a good chance to get grants, but also the first funding from VCs. But I would say the gatekeeper is the hackathon, and that you at least have a bit of success in winning. You don't need to win the first prize for ecosystem or the first prize for the whole hackathon or the track first prize for a specific track. You can also be successful if you have a specific focus on refi and you're just working on Sado. Then you have the third prize and that hackathon, and then you build on it, and in the next hackathon you have the second prize. That's already enough to be considered to be like a committed good project addressing a good problem.
Okay, Lena, do you want to say something about funding or investment? That's the question from March. What's the chance to get some investment?
I just agree. I think Miriam said everything. Like you can get small developer grants from all companies if you have an idea that is like, you know, they see there's a team working on it, they have time to invest in it. They will always ask you if you have time to invest in it. If all of you are in full-time jobs, probably you're not going to get a grant. If one or two of you are like solely focused on that, you get a higher chance. No, I have friends who are doing this, right? And so I agree.
Okay.
I think we said everything about that. I'm happy to answer the question of Sharon about creating a process for helping handicapped and neurodivergent people to participate in remote hackathons. And Sharon, I want to emphasize, remote hackathons are incredibly valuable, and they are like in real life hackathons have other pros. But as I already said, remote hackathons, like how are we going to be a diverse space if we don't offer options for everybody? Many people have issues getting visa for Europe or the US, right? We want everybody at the table. So online hackathons are the most valuable thing because they are actually the most diverse thing. They open up the space for everybody. More and more companies are also focusing on online hackathons because I guess in real life hackathons are great for marketing, especially like bigger ones, but you get a bigger reach with remote hackathons. Most of the time they also choose both tracks at the same time, or like a bit asynchronous. But remote hackathons are amazing and they are very useful. And like depending on the hackathon, the information they give, the guidance they give, the hackathon tool as what you're building right now, Maria, it's very important. Like these are all factors that play into how easy it will be to have a team building remotely. And as I said, as soon as you've set up a good structure, or like you work on that, Sharon, as I'm working on that for like my organization, it's you improve, right? Like you see what works, what doesn't work, how to create a process where you hold people accountable, where they can like very important also for remote hackathons is asynchronous communication. You cannot expect everybody to have time at the same time to talk to each other. So creating a framework where people can chat with each other, update each other, which does not have to be in real life, is very important. But don't worry, like you have remote hackathons are really great, especially if you have the people and you just need to coordinate them for teams. And then to Faith's question about how do you deal with not winning a hackathon? I actually did not win 2 hackathons in my life where I did not win any prizes. One of them, I did not really had time to do any work for my project, and everybody else in my team was just not working, so it was fine. I thought it was very fair. That was not useful. I'm very sorry. No, I think you always have to ask yourself, what did you learn out of that, right? It's not only about earning money. You make connections, you show up, you build something, you have an experience, and you learn what to do better next time, right? Like I am constantly improving every time, and then I make the same mistakes again. And I'm like, when am I ever going to learn? But not winning a hackathon means still your friends maybe win one, and you're happy for them. And you still maybe build a project. That's also why I think it's important to work on something that in the end you see value in, if it's like on the learning side or on the side of the topic. If that's interesting for you to like go deeper into learning more about that topic, into learning more about product management, or into learning more about the tech you're using, see the value in it. Like you don't want to participate just for fun like for winning money and then like be disappointed if you don't win the money, right? In the end, you got something out of that. And I think that's why winning actually means like if you participate in it for the right reasons, you will always win a hackathon. That's my opinion.
Thank you so much, Lena and Miriam. We don't have any more questions in the chat. And we're actually over time already. So I really want to thank you for taking the time today to share your experience with us, to share these tips with us. This session is being recorded and we will put it online for everyone that has missed it. We're also creating a guide. We have our monthly guides where we always speak about hot topics in the blockchain space. And this month we're going to speak about being like winning hackathons and being successful at hackathons. So we will definitely also speak about your tips, and we'll include this advice in our monthly guide so more people can see it and read it and implement it in their next hackathon. So thank you so much for your time and advice, and thanks to everyone who participated tonight.
And hackathons might be scary, but just go for it. It's just a wonderful experience to learn. So don't be like, I don't know, frightened or something from all of the information you got. It's just fun.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for the
Bye-bye.
invitation.
Bye.